She stood before the mirror, slowly cutting off her long hair that once flowed to her waist. The strands were packed and thrown away, her expression cold as if it meant nothing. Lately, her dreams had been haunted by a man, his face forever blurred, never clear. And every time he appeared, her hair grew wildly overnight. This was already the third time this month. Her name was Bai Motao, a junior in college. Today, the school had arranged a trip to a scenic site. Seeing the last bus about to leave, she hurried her steps and just managed to catch it. Any later and it would have been a problem. But the moment she got on, sharp whispers and mocking words filled her ears. When rumors remain unchallenged, people are always eager to believe them. Enduring the sting of malice, she searched for an empty seat, until a calm voice called out, "Sit here, there's space." Startled, she looked up. It was the school's most mysterious teacher. Lowering her voice, she asked, "Professor Lin, you're here? I thought you never joined these events." Lin Yuan gave her a glance and replied coolly, "Do you have a problem with that?" Flustered, Bai Motao shook her head quickly. "Of course not." Bai Motao turned slightly, glancing at the man beside her. Just as the rumors said, he was someone to be admired from afar, never to be approached lightly. Yet that very aloofness only made the girls more eager. "Professor Lin, we've been inviting you to events for 3 years. Finally, you came with us. Though honestly, Leifeng Pagoda isn't all that fun. But there's a great restaurant nearby. Maybe tonight we could." Before she could finish, Lin Yuan cut her off coldly. "If it's not fun, why are you even going?" The girl gave an awkward laugh. "Well, the school's paying anyway, and besides, you came too." Lin Yuan replied calmly, "I came because after reading Legend of the White Snake, I wanted to see the place myself." The two girls couldn't help but giggle. "Professor, you're a biology teacher. Since when do you care about old folk tales?" But his expression grew oddly serious. "Haven't you noticed? Not only in China, cultures all over the world have legends of snakes turning into humans. Ancient Egypt worshipped cobras. Indian Buddhism had snake deities, and in China, Fuxi and Nuwa were depicted with human torsos and serpent tails. If it were mere imagination, why would the same myth appear in civilizations so far apart? Perhaps, centuries ago, people really did witness such transformations. Then just as suddenly, his tone softened. "Anyway, just some food for thought. Don't forget to write your reflections after the visit." Flustered, the two girls bowed quickly and scurried away. "Sorry for disturbing you." Bai Motao mulled over his words, then whispered, "Professor Lin, are you saying the legend of the white snake might actually be real?" Lin Yuan only gave a faint, knowing smile. Bold assumptions, careful verification. When they arrived at Leifeng Pagoda, her best friend Anan rushed over, scolding, "So much for friendship. I get on the bus late and you already grabbed the seat next to Professor Lin." Bai Motao flushed scarlet, covering her face. "Don't say that. I felt like everyone was staring daggers at me the whole ride." Anan smirked. "Please, I know you like him." Bai Motao panicked, waving her hands. "Don't talk nonsense." But Anan pulled out a deck of tarot cards with a sly grin. "I drew one for you before leaving. It said you'd have romance today." Bai Motao's gaze fell on the card. It was the Lovers, symbolizing a fated encounter. Her heart skipped a beat. Could it really be true? Just then Lin Yuan's stern voice cut through the air. "You two, hurry inside." Bai Motao scrambled toward him while Anan chuckled behind her. "And you say you don't like him?" The next moment, Anan was suddenly shoved aside. The man who bumped into her was rude, didn't even apologize, and kept walking. She bent down to pick up the fallen tarot card, and froze. It was the only one that had fallen reversed. A card that symbolized unavoidable change in one's life. Staring at it, Anan felt a chill creep up her spine. Was this really just coincidence? That day, the school organized a trip to Leifeng Pagoda. But just as everyone was about to enter, a domineering figure blocked the way, demanding to go in first. Whispers spread quickly. "Isn't that the young master of the Yin family? They're filthy rich." Some grumbled in protest. "So what, being rich means you get to act like this?" Yet with a single cold glare from him, the complaints died instantly. It was the classic case of bold online, cowardly in real life. Inside the elevator, a man in a hat sneered, "Yin Songdong, second young master of the Yin family, now reduced to the son of a criminal." Fighting with people beneath you for a ticket that should have been yours. Doesn't it sting? But Im Sangdong didn't lose his composure. He simply smiled. Those without the right to enter shouldn't even dream of knowing what lies ahead. Even among those clad in black, there's a difference between a fly and a crow. The man's face twisted with fury, teeth clenched. Brat, who are you calling what? Let's see how long you can keep that smug face. Outside, without bodyguards blocking the way, the crowd returned to the usual chaos of people shoving and squeezing forward. Bai Motao muttered to herself, great, even on a school trip I have to deal with this nonsense. Just my luck. She glanced around instinctively, only to realize Professor Lin was nowhere to be seen. Panic flickered in her chest as she searched for him. When she reached the second floor, her eyes were instantly drawn to the wooden sculptures displayed inside. Images of the legend of the white snake surged in her mind. The serpent who became human out of gratitude, yet was condemned to be crushed beneath Leifeng Pagoda. The tower must not fall, the lake must not dry, the white snake will never be free. The thought made her heart ache with unwillingness. Suddenly, the wooden sculpture moved. Its carved eyes glimmered with life as it whispered to her, "You have finally come, my king." At that very moment, a hand landed on her shoulder. She screamed out loud in fright. Spinning around, she found herself face to face with Professor Lin. His brows furrowed as he asked, "What's wrong? Why are you so scared?" Bai Motao's gaze darted back to the wooden statue, her pulse racing. If she told him it had spoken, would he think she'd lost her mind? Forcing a shaky smile, she murmured, "It's nothing." Noticing that Bai Motao's eyes lingered on the wooden sculpture, Lin Yuan stepped closer, curious. What's so fascinating about it? Panic seized her. She rushed to block him. "Don't get close. There's something wrong with that snake." But when she looked again, the carving was motionless, lifeless once more. Her breath caught. Had it really been just an illusion? She tapped the glass lightly, desperate to see if it would stir again. Seeing the sweat beading on her forehead, Lin Yuan's tone softened. "Come rest in the underground hall. There's air conditioning there. The others are waiting." Bai Motao nodded, forcing herself to leave. As she walked away, she glanced back, tapping her own head with a wry smile. I must have been influenced by what Professor Lin said on the bus. A snake turning into a human? Impossible. The sculpture couldn't possibly move. Yet the moment she turned her back, the serpent's eyes behind the glass gleamed faintly, alive if only for an instant. At the top of Leifeng Pagoda, the man in the hat spoke in a low voice. "Young Master Songdong, let's begin. The Feathered Emperor Candidate Test. Seal away the building tied to serpents. I'll record your every move as long as there's no." Before he could finish, Im Songdong lashed out, his voice cold and sharp. "Shut up. You're too noisy." With a single clenched fist, a violent gust surged forth, sweeping across the entire pagoda. In an instant, a barrier wrapped around Leifeng Tower. The man in the hat shuddered, muttering in awe, "So this is the Yin family's greatest power?" Inside the tower, Bai Motao was descending the stairs when her chest tightened suddenly. Dizzy, she missed a step and stumbled forward. Luckily, Lin Yuan caught her in time. But she felt the air vanish from her lungs, as if the world itself had been drained. No matter how she tried, she couldn't breathe. Lin Yuan held her gaze, his voice steady and commanding. "Bai Mo, look at me." Gasping, she stammered weakly, "Pure Professor Lin, I can't." Pulling her into his arms, Lin Yuan whispered firmly, "Relax. Match your breath with mine. Remember what I taught in class. Before birth, humans survive entirely in amniotic fluid. With training, a person can hold their breath for over 10 minutes underwater. Breathing on land isn't the only way to live. A little loss of air is nothing." His deep voice echoed in her ears, his scent filling her nose. Slowly, the suffocating weight on her chest eased, and her body began to calm in his embrace. Bai Motao suddenly snapped back to her senses. "Wait, why on earth was I clinging to Professor Lin like that?" She stumbled back in a panic, stammering, "Sorry, my head was spinning, I don't even know what I just did." Lin Yuan's calm voice broke through her chaos. "You did well. Remember this breathing technique. Whatever happens, don't panic, and trust your instincts." She froze, then muttered inwardly, "If that was really my instinct just now, maybe it's better not to trust it too much." Seeing her still dazed, Lin Yuan spoke lightly, "Come on. Everyone's waiting. Bai Motao's gaze lingered on his retreating figure, her heart tangled in confusion. Professor Lin, was he ever this approachable? In class, he always left the moment the bell rang, never exchanging a word with students. So why was today different? Why hadn't he been affected at all? Almost as if he already knew what was going to happen. In the underground hall, Bai Motao greeted Anan, only for her friend to immediately lean in with a teasing grin. Wow, you've been glued to Professor Lin all this time, huh? Bai Motao couldn't even be bothered to argue anymore. But behind her, the glares from the other girls felt sharp enough to slice her into pieces. Yet strangely, the tightness in her chest hadn't faded. It was only growing heavier. At that moment, the tour guide spoke up. When Leifeng Pagoda was first built, workers unearthed a massive stone weighing 750 kilograms. Some said the white snake was pinned beneath it. Others claimed that once the stone was moved, she escaped. Bai Motao hadn't been paying attention, but the words, "the stone was moved," made her freeze. Her eyes widened as she whispered, "The stone was moved?" The guide nodded with a smile. "That's right." Bai Motao instinctively raised her hand, pointing ahead. "Then, what's that stone?" Following her finger, everyone saw a colossal shadow looming in the distance. The stone seemed to pull at her soul, an inexplicable force drawing her closer with each hesitant step. She turned to ask the guide about it, but in that instant the woman was gone. So was everyone else. Panic surged in her chest. Her voice trembled as she called out, "Anan? Professor Lin." Suddenly, a cold hand clamped tightly around her throat. A low, menacing voice growled from behind, "Who are you?" The man's tone was slow, dangerous. "This barrier can only be entered by the Xinyu clan." As he spoke, he brushed aside the hair at her neck, searching for a clan mark, yet found nothing. His eyes darkened, yanking her closer. "Are you the enemy?" Bai Motao's face burned from the proximity, panic rising. She shoved at his chest desperately, gasping, "What are you doing?" Im Sangdong narrowed his eyes, deep in thought. No clan mark, no trace of serpent scent. But an ordinary human could never set foot inside. His silence only made her more frantic. "Where is this? Where is everyone else?" she stammered. With a flick of his hand, glowing runes wrapped around her, binding her in place. "This is my domain. No human can enter. Only those of ancient bloodlines can see this place. So I'll ask again, are you of the Xinyu, the bird clan, or the Qianlong, the serpent clan?" Trapped within the shimmering barrier, Bai Motao trembled. "I don't understand a word of this bird clan or serpent clan nonsense. Let me go." The pressure around her mounted, crashing down like a suffocating tide. Her chest heaved, her lungs burning. And then in the blur of panic, Lin Yuan's voice echoed in her mind. "Stay calm. Don't panic." She clenched her teeth, sinking into the darkness as his final words resurfaced again and again. "Trust your instincts." Suddenly, a surge of memory crashed into Bai Motao's mind. She saw her mother crouching by a chicken coop, smiling gently. "Peach, do you know the very first skill animals learn?" Bai Motao looked at the chicks pecking at their feed and answered innocently, "Is it eating?" Her mother shook her head. "It's survival. Not every egg hatches. Only the ones that break their shells can live." The words ignited something deep within her. A primal instinct roared awake, unlocking hidden strength in her body. Im Sangdong froze. Before his eyes, strands of jet-black hair burst forth from her, wild and alive. In the next instant, the hair slashed through the feathered runes binding her, tearing the barrier apart. Bai Motao stumbled free, staring at the strands in shock. "Did my hair really cut through the seal?" Im Sangdong grabbed her upright, eyes flashing. "So that's it. Just like the serpent clan, you wield your hair as a weapon. You are one of them." Then his lips curled into a chilling smile. "A moment ago I was disappointed. My score dropped thanks to interference. But now, killing you will earn me more than enough points back." Bai Motao's breath caught. His golden eyes burned, black wings spread behind him, shattering everything she thought she knew of the world. And in those eyes blazed one thing only, raw killing intent. Terror surged through her as she spun and bolted, shouting, "I'm not the serpent clan you're talking about." But Im Sangdong didn't listen, barking coldly, "Lies. If you weren't serpent clan, how could you have found the awakening stone? Her gaze locked on the massive black stone looming ahead. Awakening stone. Is that what he means? Just then a strange voice echoed in Bai Motao's mind. Run toward the stone. Her heart lurched, she had no idea who was speaking to her. She froze only to find Yin Songdong already blocking her path. His lips curled in a cruel smile. Once I destroy this wretched stone, this place will turn into an ordinary tower. And you'll be buried here along with it. Feathers tightened around her, binding her like a cage. Despair sank in. She shut her eyes, too terrified to see what would happen next. But suddenly, a mysterious power surged forth, seizing control of the feathers. Instead of binding her, they pushed her closer to the massive stone. Her arm was slashed open and drops of blood spilled onto its surface. The blood spread across the rock, revealing an ancient carving, a totem of 3 serpents lunging to devour the sun. The serpents writhed to life, bursting from the stone and charging straight at her. Terror clawed through her chest, she trembled, utterly panicked. And then he appeared, the man from her dreams. His voice was calm, tender. Bai Motao, don't be afraid. Remember who you are, reclaim your power. The 3 serpents sank their fangs into her, but instead of pain she felt a torrent of energy flooding her veins. A surge both alien and familiar, pouring violently into her body. Watching the woman vanish right before his eyes, Yin Songdong's expression darkened with fury. Damn it. I meant to bury her with the stone. But instead, did I awaken her? He slammed his fist into the massive rock, the impact booming through the chamber as his rage spilled out. The man in the hat stepped from the shadows, voice laced with disdain. Seems you just let a very dangerous person slip away. Tell me, how should I even score you now? Yin Songdong drew a deep breath, forcing his anger down. His voice was ice cold. The trial isn't over yet. He kicked a bag on the ground, spilling its contents. Among them, a student ID card slid out. His gaze sharpened as he read the name, Bai Motao. Slowly, his lips curved into a chilling smile. All I have to do is erase this little mistake. Remember this, no prey has ever escaped from me. Somewhere unknown, Bai Motao was running desperately. A voice echoed in her ears, urging her on. Too slow. Bai Motao, if you move this slowly, the enemy will devour you. The crushing pressure jolted her awake. She opened her eyes to find her parents hovering anxiously at her bedside. Her first instinct was to reach for her hair, terrified those eerie strands might still be there. But to her relief, it had returned to normal. Confused, she murmured, "Wasn't I at Leifeng Pagoda?" Her father quickly explained, "Your teacher brought you back. You've been unconscious for a whole day and night." She blinked. "Which teacher?" Her father replied, "An old acquaintance of ours, Professor Lin from the Research Institute. He's teaching biology at your school now. Lin Yuan." Hearing it was Professor Lin who carried her home, urgency surged in her chest. He had to find him. He was the only one who might know what was happening to her. Her mother tried to stop her gently. "Rest a little longer." But Bai Motao shook her head firmly. "No, I need to make it to Professor Lin's class this afternoon." What she didn't know was that the day before, Anan had drawn a tarot spread for her. The card she pulled, Death, upright. In tarot, death doesn't signify the end of life, but rather transformation, rebirth through destruction. Anan stared at the card, her heart uneasy. Just what happened to Peach? Back to the present. On her way to school, Bai Motao nearly got struck by a basketball flying straight at her. Yet without even looking up, her body shifted instinctively, dodging it with ease. Gasps and whispers erupted around her. What shocked her more was that she could hear every single word clearly, even those spoken from far away. The sounds swelled unnaturally loud in her ears, leaving her dizzy and overwhelmed. Too noisy. When she finally reached the school gates, a glance at her watch left her stunned. She had arrived a full 20 minutes earlier than usual. Faster speed, sharper hearing, what on earth is happening to my body? Anxious, she pushed open the classroom door, blurting out, "Professor Lin." Lin Yuan looked up, frowning slightly. "Didn't I tell you to rest at home, Bai Motao?" She hurried to explain, "I'm fine now. I just have questions I need to ask you." Lin Yuan stepped closer, placing his hand lightly on her forehead. His voice was calm but edged with concern. "Are you fully recovered? Any discomfort?" With the entire class watching, the intimate gesture made by Mo Tao's cheeks flush hot. Around her, she could feel the sharp sting of jealous stares. Sensing her embarrassment, Lin Yuan withdrew his hand. Focus on the lesson first. We'll talk after class. As soon as she sat down, whispers flared up from the girls a few rows behind. She's the one who caused a classmate's death, and now she's seducing the teacher. Yesterday's fainting spell? Totally faked. Normally, such venomous gossip would blur into the background. But today, every word pierced her ears like needles. Amplified, unbearable. She whipped around, eyes blazing, and snapped, "Shut up." In that instant, vines erupted from the classroom walls, wrapping around the gossiping girl and hoisting her into the air. A single thought sent them lashing. Left. The vines flung her to the left. Right. They swung her hard to the other side. By Mo Tao's own heart raced. Am I controlling this? Screams rang out. Her classmates bolted in terror, scattering like frightened birds. Lin Yuan strode forward and pressed a firm hand to her shoulder. His voice was sharp, steady. Calm yourself, Bai Mo Tao. Biology is a discipline of reason. If you lose control, you'll never find the truth. His words struck her like cold water. The vines slowly retreated, lowering the girl back onto the floor. Bai Mo Tao stared at him in shock. He knows it was me. And he was the last one to touch me. He must know what's happening to me. Unable to hold it in any longer, she whispered, her voice trembling. Professor Lin, please tell me, what's happening to me? A short while later, they were in the office. Bai Mo Tao's chest was tight with urgency. She needed to know what was happening to her. But Lin Yuan raised a hand, signaling for silence. Calm down. Let me feed something first. Curious, she leaned forward, trying to see. To ordinary eyes, there was nothing there at all. Yet her vision shifted. Suddenly, she could make out a serpent coiled in the corner, its scales shifting color as it camouflaged itself. Lin Yuan explained, this is a species of snake from the Amazon. Small in size, surrounded by predators. To survive, it evolved extraordinary abilities. Bai Mo Tao frowned slightly. To her, it didn't seem all that impressive. If anything, it looked a little dull. But Lin Yuan went on, its eyesight is poor. But it has heat-sensing pits, allowing it to track prey with precision. Its ears are underdeveloped, so it learned to detect vibrations through bone and skin, expanding its perception far beyond sight, able to pick up even the faintest sounds. And its strike is lightning fast. Just a quarter of a second is enough to take down its prey. As she listened, Bai Mo Tao couldn't help comparing his words to her own changes. Her sharper vision, her heightened hearing, her newfound speed. All of it, like a serpent. A shiver ran through her. Her voice trembled. Professor Lin, if someone had abilities like a snake, would that make them a monster? Lin Yuan reached out and gently patted her head. His tone was calm, reassuring. Don't be afraid. Tell me everything that's happened to you. Change doesn't always mean something bad. To explain herself, she carefully sketched the totem she had seen on the stone and handed it to him. Lin Yuan studied it in silence before asking softly, do you think a snake could devour the sun? Bai Mo Tao answered instantly, of course not. He pulled down an ancient book and flipped it open. But what if the sun was a bird? The words stunned her. He slid the book toward her, pointing to a page. Look here. Legends say a three-legged golden crow resides within the sun. His voice dropped, heavy with meaning. If what you saw was a metaphor, then those three serpents weren't trying to eat the sun itself, but the bird that represents it. Bai Mo Tao's brows furrowed, her confusion deepening. But why would snakes want to devour that bird? Lin Yuan closed the book slowly. Because that bird brings light. And serpents dwell in darkness. As long as light exists, they cannot roam free, only crawl in the shadows. But if the bird is devoured, the light disappears. And in darkness, serpents are free. Bai Mo Tao slammed the desk in frustration. What kind of ridiculous story is that? Snakes, creatures that dangerous, how could they ever think they have the right to run wild? Lin Yuan remained composed, his tone calm. Danger is relative. To humans, snakes are deadly. But to snakes, humans are just as dangerous. You're only used to seeing from one side. When he turned to leave, panic spiked in her chest. She rushed forward and grabbed his sleeve. Then what does any of this have to do with me? With me becoming strange? Lin Yuan paused, resting a hand gently on her head. You haven't become strange. Heightened vision, sharper hearing, even manipulating objects. If you look into it, you'll find people with such abilities are becoming more common. Personally, I don't think society will reject them. Bai Motao still trembled, her voice barely above a whisper. So, does that mean I'll turn into a snake? Lin Yuan flicked her forehead lightly, almost scolding. Why is your comprehension so poor? Stop overthinking. If anything, you should be glad you've gained the power to protect yourself. Dazed, Bai Motao drifted out of the office, her thoughts tangled in confusion. Most of what he had said, she hadn't even understood. But, snakes eating the sun? Isn't the sun still shining just fine in the sky? A chilling thought struck her. Maybe in that story the serpents never truly gained freedom, because they had met their natural enemy. Just as the thought struck her, Bai Motao looked up, and there was Yin Songdong standing on the corridor window ledge, his gaze sharp and unyielding. In that instant realization dawned. So that's why he wants me dead. Because he's an eagle, and eagles are the natural enemies of serpents. Fear tightened her throat. How did you find me? She demanded. Yin Songdong pulled a student ID from his pocket and tossed it at her with a mocking grin. You left your address behind. For a moment, I thought you were inviting me over. Bai Motao clutched the ID, trembling. So, you're an ability user too? His lips curled in scorn. Ability? You dare call this an ability? Step by step he closed in, forcing her against the wall. His voice dropped, low and dangerous. Stop pretending. This is bloodline power. You've already used it, haven't you? His eyes gleamed like blades. Back in the classroom, you nearly killed that girl. Bai Motao wrenched free from his grip, panic lacing her voice. No, I didn't. I never meant to. With a sudden roar, Yin Songdong slammed his fist into the wall beside her, cracks spiderwebbing out. Still denying it? Since the Xinyu clan began monitoring the serpents, every awakening stone has been stripped away. The one in Leifeng Pagoda was the last. And you, his eyes burned with lethal intent, you are the only serpent it has awakened. In desperation, Bai Motao unleashed her power. Vines burst forth, wrapping around Yin Songdong long enough for her to break free and run. Her thoughts were in chaos, his words echoing relentlessly. I'm not a serpent. I'm not a monster. This is just a special ability. I don't want to hurt anyone. But to Yin Songdong, her cries meant nothing. He roared back, convinced. To him, the serpent clan were masters of disguise, none of them innocent. Yet as he chased her, probing into her past, he felt something unfamiliar stirring, an undercurrent of rejection, of isolation. For the first time, doubt flickered in his heart. Seizing the moment, he lunged, grabbing Bai Motao and yanking her close. He tore open her clothing at the collar, snarling, You claim you're not Serpent Clan? Then look, what is this? Bai Motao froze. Her eyes dropped, and there it was. The ancient totem, burned into her skin. Yin Songdong's hand clamped tight around her throat, his voice like ice. This is the mark of the Serpent Clan. Their weakness lies at the 7 inches, below the head, above the belly. That's why the totem is here. Strike this spot, and a serpent will beg for death. Struggling to breathe, Bai Motao's eyes burned with defiance. Even if I am Serpent Clan, I've never harmed anyone. The only one hurting others right now is you. Yin Songdong's expression hardened. Lies. The Serpent Clan's greatest talent, his grip tightened, is deception. Yin Songdong's eyes darkened as he raised his hand, spiritual energy swirling. He would control her completely, force her to reveal her true nature. The moment the taming art took hold, Bai Motao's gaze turned vacant, her expression hollow, like a puppet stripped of its soul. His voice cut sharp. Where are you from? She replied mechanically, from H City. I've lived there since childhood. Satisfaction flickered across Yin Songdong's lips. Good, seems you're under my control. Now tell me, what's your connection to the Serpent Clan? Bai Motao's voice was flat, devoid of thought. I don't know. His eyes narrowed. Do you have accomplices? I don't know. Yin Songdong's brows furrowed, disbelief twisting his features. Impossible. Once someone is bound by the taming art, lying is absolutely impossible. Im Sangdong sneered, tightening his seal. Then let me see your past. Her memories flooded into view. Bright skies, clear waters, a day that seemed blissfully ordinary. Bai Motao was with two classmates, laughing as she lifted her camera to take their picture. The girls posed, smiles bright and carefree, the scene filled with youthful joy. Then disaster struck. From above, a massive tree trunk came crashing down, rolling with terrifying speed. Bai Motao screamed a warning, panic in her voice, but it was too late. The log slammed into her friends, ending their lives in an instant. The scene shifted. In a hospital room, grief-stricken parents glared at Bai Motao, voices sharp with accusation. 3 of you went out, but only you came back alive? You expect us to believe you're innocent? You killed them. Back at school, rumors spread like wildfire. Whispers and glares surrounded her, malice pressing down from all sides. Online, cruel posts branded her a murderer. Even her own desk was carved with hateful words. Her mother begged her softly, transfer schools. Let's move to another city. But Bai Motao shook her head, stubborn and resolute. I didn't hurt anyone. I've done nothing wrong. I won't run. Yet deep down, the truth gnawed at her. No one could withstand such endless malice. Day after day, it seeped into her heart, poisoning her spirit. At that moment, Im Sangdong's spell ripped open the darkness within her, unleashing all the hatred and malice she had endured. It surged forth, dragging Bai Motao toward an endless abyss. Shock flashed across his eyes. He grabbed her desperately, his chest tightening. Impossible. How can one person carry so much malice? No, if this continues, she'll never wake up. Pulling her into his arms, he held her tightly as if he could anchor her soul to the surface. His voice was urgent, rough. Wake up. Do you hear me? Wake up. Just as she was about to be swallowed by darkness, an eagle descended from above. Its wings sliced through the hands of malice, scattering them, shielding her from the abyss. Im Sangdong stared at her in disbelief. The Serpent Clan. They've always been liars, villains steeped in sin. So why is she different? But Bai Motao shoved him away, clutching her head, her face twisted with pain. What just happened? I feel like I remembered so many terrible things. She lifted her gaze, trembling but resolute. If you don't believe me, then watch me. Monitor me if you have to. If I haven't done anything wrong, will you let me go? Im Sangdong's grip clamped tight around her hand, his eyes sharp as blades. Impossible. Just then, the principal's stern voice cut through the tension. What are you two doing here? Panic flickered across Im Sangdong's face. The surge of power earlier, he must have torn the barrier apart. The principal's gaze sharpened. Were you two fighting? It's just a misunderstanding, Im Sangdong said quickly. But Bai Motao shot back, voice trembling with urgency. No. He was threatening me. Rage flared in Im Sangdong's eyes as he glared at her. But Bai Motao stood her ground, meeting his stare without fear. The principal's eyes fell on Bai Motao's wrists and neck. The red marks of restraint were plain to see. In an instant, a crushing aura erupted from him, flooding the corridor like a storm. Whether it's a misunderstanding is not for the aggressor to decide. In my school, if students cannot live in harmony, that is no small matter. The oppressive force pressed down so heavily that Im Sangdong's chest tightened, a flicker of unease creeping into his heart. Just then, a teacher behind the principal spoke softly. Perhaps it's time to test the new punishment method? A spark of interest lit in the principal's eyes. You mean, that one? He stepped forward without hesitation, forcing Bai Motao's and Im Sangdong's hands together. A faint smile curved his lips. At last, the perfect test subjects. Bai Motao stared in disbelief, frustration bubbling up. Why me too? I'm the victim here. Im Sangdong's face twisted with anger, jerking his hand back. Ridiculous. I didn't come to this school to be punished like this. Adjusting his glasses, the principal's tone sharpened with authority. Since you've transferred here, you will obey the school's rules. But I have plenty of ways to make you comply. Instead of backing down, Im Sangdong's eyes lit with defiance. His lips curled into a dangerous grin. So you want to fight? Don't forget, I've never lost. Just as tension filled the air, a calm voice broke through. What's all the commotion here? Lin Yuan stepped into the corridor, handing a thick stack of papers to the principal. Principal, I've gathered all the documents you requested. The principal accepted them with a nod. Well done, must have been quite the rush. And you came at just the right time. This here is your department's newest transfer, Yin Songdong. But Lin Yuan's eyes had already fallen on Bai Mo Tao. The sight of the raw red marks on her wrists and neck made his expression sharpen, his gaze turning razor-sharp. Yin Songdong raised his voice in protest. I never agreed to take these classes. Lin Yuan's lips curved slightly, his tone deceptively mild yet laced with steel. Our veterinary science courses are far more fascinating than you think. I suggest you don't miss out. He paused, his smile deepening. Welcome to my department. I'll make sure to teach you well. Staring at that smile, Yin Songdong felt an inexplicable heat rise in his chest, bristling like feathers on edge. He didn't even understand it himself. Why did this man's presence stir such instinctive resistance? Back in the car, Yin Songdong's thoughts churned restlessly. Bai Mo Tao's situation remained unresolved. Am I really supposed to waste my time stuck in that school with her? What unsettled him even more was that teacher. The moment he appeared, my danger sense went wild. Yet there was no trace of serpent energy on him. When he sped up to the estate, the servant at the gate instantly knew something was wrong. Young master's foul mood was written all over his driving. Storming to the entrance, Yin Songdong punched in the code, error. He growled, kicking the door hard. Open the damn door. A cold voice echoed from inside. Silence. You made 3 mistakes today. Do you even know what they are? Chest puffed, eyes blazing, Yin Songdong snapped back. No idea. The voice replied icily, then don't come in until you figure it out. He slammed his fist against the door, stomach growling, his thoughts clouded by hunger. The voice sneered. So reckless. You might as well starve. It would save the Xinyu clan the shame. Rage boiled up in Yin Songdong. He raised his leg ready to break the door down. How dare you, the voice thundered. Do you know why the Xinyu clan still lives freely? Because we've never been exposed to humans. A beat of silence, then the voice cut sharper. And what did you do today? You shattered a barrier, nearly exposed us all. Remember this, humans are never friendly. Yin Songdong's face tightened. He couldn't refute it because it was true. Reluctantly, he clenched his fists, lowering his head. This time, the fault was mine. Second rule, never show disrespect to your teacher. A gentleman honors his mentors as he honors his friends. Respecting one's teachers is the foundation of virtue. Yin Songdong immediately tuned out, expression blank. Clearly, this wasn't the first time he'd been lectured like this. He finally raised his hands in surrender. All right, I get it. What's the third rule? As if in response, the mansion doors swung open. A great bird shot into the air, followed by a stern figure who intoned, Third rule, no shouting or fighting at the family gates. Yin Songdong groaned, swatting at the bird circling his head. Odin, get lost. You annoying bird, you're always watching me. The figure stepped forward, pulling him into a firm embrace. If all goes well, you'll be the next feather emperor. Everything I do is to make you stronger. The sincerity in his brother's voice calmed the storm in Yin Songdong's chest, soothing the rage that always boiled inside him. But then his brother pulled out pen and paper, his tone brooking no argument. Before dinner, copy the family rules. 10 times. A howl of misery erupted from the mansion. No. Someone save me. The dining table was soon filled with delicacies, aromas drifting through the hall. Yet Yin Songdong only sat there in silence, appetite lost. Beside him, the great bird Odin practically drooled waterfalls, earning a sharp wave of irritation as Yin Songdong snapped, Get lost. His brother studied him calmly, voice low. There's no need to hesitate. The totem has already appeared on her body. That alone proves she is Serpent Clan. Yin Songdong's brows knitted. But I can't sense a single trace of serpent energy from her. His brother dismissed it with a cold laugh. So what? The seal was just broken. Her power hasn't fully awakened yet. Yin Songdong's tone sharpened, almost desperate. But I tested her with the taming art. She didn't. His words were cut short as his brother slammed his chopsticks onto the table, voice slicing like a blade. Songdong, we are hunters. Living among mortals does not give you the luxury of pity. The Shinyu clan rose to power because of our innate abilities. They've given us wealth, influence, a place above the rest. And humans? They remain blind, thinking these powers are mere gifts. But our so-called gifts were forged in blood, by hunting prey to extinction. He rose and crouched before Yin Songdong, locking eyes with him. By raw ability, you are the most fitting heir to the Feather Emperor. Then his tone darkened. With a sharp tug, he pulled off Yin Songdong's glove, revealing the mark on his hand. But don't forget, this brand makes you the least worthy. The brand of a sinner's son. Never forget what happened in the past. Yin Songdong yanked his hand back, eyes sharp as steel. Of course I remember. Because of father's false charges, we were cast down into the mortal world. His jaw tightened. I seek the throne of Feather Emperor not for power but to uncover the truth. If we strike blindly, kill an enemy without proof, then how are we any different from the ones who framed father? His brother's lips curved into a rare, approving smile. Good. Seems that 10 million in sponsorship wasn't wasted after all. Yin Songdong froze, utterly baffled. What the hell does that even mean? Rising to his feet, his brother ruffled his hair, voice uncharacteristically gentle. Hearing you speak like this eases my mind. Go find the truth, and while you're at it, bring back a diploma. The sudden warmth only made Yin Songdong more flustered. He scowled, snapping, Hey, what's this about 10 million? His brother shot him a sidelong glance, words laced with dry humor. What do you think let you transfer schools with grades as terrible as yours? Fail to graduate again and the whole clan will laugh us into the ground. The next morning, Bai Motao was still buried in her blankets when the flood of message notifications woke her up. They were all from Unan, her mischievous friend. The texts were a chaotic mess, nonsense that left Bai Motao staring in confusion. What on earth is she talking about? Rushing to campus, she found a huge crowd gathered at the bulletin board. Curiosity prickled, she squeezed her way to the front, only to see a bold announcement, Campus Help Squad. And right in the middle, printed clear as day, were her and Yin Songdong's photos. What the hell? They both shouted at once. Their gazes clashed immediately after, eyes sparking with murderous intent, as if willing the other to drop dead on the spot. And yet the teacher nearby only chuckled. Now this is quite an interesting experiment. He added cheerfully, last time 2 students fought, the principal had them hold hands for a while and guess what? They ended up becoming best friends. Bai Motao's expression stiffened. Best friends? Really? Is that what we're calling it? The teacher clapped his hands. Congratulations. You've officially joined our school's innovation program. Yin Songdong's lips twisted into a smirk. Congratulations, my ass. Just then a sudden gust of wind whooshed past. Somewhere in the crowd someone cried out, Hi Wig. Both Bai Motao and Yin Songdong nearly collapsed inside. A million times unwilling, but there was no escaping it. The principal's word was final. Once again Anan pulled out her tarot deck for Bai Motao. This time the card revealed was the Wheel of Fortune. Her tone grew serious. This means you're in the middle of an irresistible change. 2 mysterious forces are now steering your fate. Bai Motao's heart tightened. Just as the words sank in, she spotted someone unexpected. So Rumming. Her eyes widened. Didn't she treat me horribly yesterday? Why does she look as if nothing happened at all? So Rumming sneered, her words dripping with venom. Well, Bai Motao. Quite the talent, aren't you? First seducing teacher Lin, now Yin Songdong. No wonder. Once a sinner, always shameless. Anan bristled with anger, about to lash back, but Bai Motao stopped her with a raised hand. Bai Motao's voice trembled with suppressed fury. Haven't you said enough? If you hadn't gone too far yesterday in biology class, I never would have. So Rumming cut her off sharply. Biology class? Are you delusional? Yesterday the classroom was under maintenance. We had a different subject entirely. Don't tell me, you didn't even show up. Her expression was too natural to be lying. Bai Motao froze, blood running cold. Yet the marks on her wrists and neck, they were proof of what had happened yesterday. While Bai Motao was still lost in thought, so Rumming suddenly shoved her hard. Stumbling, she crashed straight into none other than Yin Songdong, who had just walked up behind her. Panic flashed across So Ruming's face. She waved her hands frantically. Why, young Master Yin, don't misunderstand. I was only joking. Bai Motao lifted her head, her expression dark as frost. Your jokes aren't funny. Try it again and I won't let you off so easily. So Ruming, rattled by her icy tone, snapped in desperation. Bai Motao, who do you think you are? Yin Songdong strode forward, his voice cutting like a blade. Move. Don't waste my time with your nonsense. At the doorway he paused, his back still turned. Next time, just do what you believe is right. Bai Motao blinked, stunned by the unexpected words. Her heart softened for a moment. Could it be, he isn't as terrible as I thought? Just as Bai Motao was lost in thought, Yin Songdong pushed open the door. In an instant, several white pigeons fluttered out in a flurry of wings. With quick reflexes, Yin Songdong snatched one midair, fuming, only to freeze when the pigeon tilted its head cutely, pulling off an innocent head tilt kill. He went stiff. Why is this bird so damn cute? It was exactly his type. Then Lin Yuan's calm voice rang from inside the lab. You there, bring the pigeons back. Not one is to be missed. All of them are for dissection. Yin Songdong nearly exploded. Dissection? As in, kill them? His whole body tensed with outrage. Anan mistook his horror for fear, leaning over with a smile. Don't be scared, young Master Yin. This is veterinary science. Of course we dissect animals. The next second, Bai Motao had already donned her lab coat with professional ease. Yin Songdong, on the other hand, was still fumbling awkwardly with his sleeves. Staring at the innocent pigeons, he couldn't bring himself to do it. Bai Motao glanced at them too, and a thought struck her. Wait, aren't they his kin in a way? At the front, Lin Yuan continued the demonstration calmly, using forceps to tug at the pectoral muscles, observing the movement, then slicing into the abdomen. Each precise, clinical motion felt like a blade stabbing straight into Yin Songdong's chest. Hugging the pigeon protectively against him, he lowered his head, looking for once like a wounded beast. Bai Motao, seeing him like this, whispered gently, "We've all done it. Maybe you should try too." Yin Songdong tightened his grip on the bird, voice heavy with reluctance. "Do we really have to dissect it? Can't we switch to something else?" Anan slammed the desk with a snort. "What do you think this is, a marketplace? You don't get to pick and choose." At that moment, Lin Yuan stepped forward, voice calm and cutting. "It seems our new student can't bring himself to do it." The instant he neared Bai Motao, he felt the raw hostility radiating from Yin Songdong. Gritting his teeth, Yin Songdong muttered, "Because I like birds. If it were some other animal." Lin Yuan cut him off coldly. "Personal feelings have no place here. That is not the spirit of science." Without hesitation, he seized Yin Songdong's hand. "All you need is to take the first step." Then, forcing his hand downward, he plunged the pigeon into the basin of water. His voice remained steady, almost clinical. "When dealing with birds, this is the simplest, most direct way to kill." Yin Songdong's pupils contracted in shock. The brutality of it seared into his mind. Lin Yuan turned without pause. "Bai Motao, demonstrate the dissection procedure." Yin Songdong shot her a venomous glare, his anger spilling over. Bai Motao snapped back, though her tone carried helplessness. "Why glare at me? This is our profession. Without knowing an animal's anatomy, how else can we save more lives later?" With that, she drew the scalpel cleanly from the pigeon's chest downward, slicing it open in one practiced motion. The scene tore open an old wound in Yin Songdong's heart. He was dragged back to the memory of his father's tragic execution. The helplessness, the despair, all came rushing back. Bai Motao too was troubled. If he really is of the Eagle clan, then isn't this like killing one of his own right before his eyes? Lin Yuan must know that, so why provoke him on purpose? Unable to bear it any longer, Yin Songdong ripped off his lab coat and stormed out of the room. Lin Yuan merely glanced at his retreating figure, unfazed, jotting a big fat 0 in his notes. "All right. Clean up your stations. Class dismissed." Bai Motao's doubts only grew heavier. Without hesitation, she rushed after Lin Yuan, determined to get some answers. Meanwhile, on campus, a breathtakingly beautiful woman appeared. So dazzling she looked like she'd just stepped off a runway. Students stopped in their tracks, jaws dropping as if a supermodel had descended. Elsewhere, Lin Yuan regarded Bai Motao calmly. Do you have a question? She hesitated, then asked, Teacher Lin, you already knew, didn't you? That Im Sungdong isn't normal. Lin Yuan sighed, a faint smile tugging at his lips. Do you have too much free time on your hands? Bai Motao quickly protested. Then why target him? Pigeons aren't even animals we normally use in class. Lin Yuan rifled through some papers, his voice unhurried. Not common doesn't mean useless. And as for targeting, I'm equally strict with everyone. His gaze suddenly fixed on her, tone deceptively light but undeniably sharp. Take you for instance. So many mistakes and I highlighted all the key points for you. Still this idle? Should I arrange a makeup exam? As expected, the teacher had her cornered. Bai Motao instantly caved, mumbling an apology, yet couldn't resist adding, but can I ask just one more thing? Why did Zhou Ruming's memory disappear? Lin Yuan answered casually, when people undergo severe stress, their self-defense mechanisms sometimes erase parts of their memory. Bai Motao frowned, clearly unconvinced. Lin Yuan's tone suddenly hardened. What would you rather she remembered and branded you a monster? Flustered, Bai Motao waved her hands. And no, of course not. But deep down, her conviction only grew stronger. Teacher Lin was definitely hiding something. Lin Yuan closed his book, his tone calm and clipped. That's enough for today. If you have questions, call me. My number's in the faculty group. Bai Motao quickly checked her phone. Sure enough, it was there. She sighed inwardly. But isn't that public for everyone? If I call, will he really pick up? She muttered under her breath, thinking no one heard. Yet Lin Yuan suddenly turned his head. If it's you calling, I'll answer. Her face burned crimson. Flustered, she bowed quickly and fled the scene in embarrassment. Just as she left, a striking woman in heels walked in, her first words laced with disdain. Still playing the part, huh? So fake. Why don't you just tell her the truth, that you're her kind? Lin Yuan adjusted his glasses, his voice calm as ever. Du Bohuan, didn't I tell you not to come here? She planted her hands on her hips, clearly displeased. Call me Chris. And don't play dumb. I sent you 800 messages. Did you reply to even one? Lin Yuan pulled out his phone casually. The screen lit up, proof enough that he'd muted, if not outright blocked her. Chris leaned onto his shoulder with a sly grin. Please. I don't have time to pester you for nothing. If I came all the way here, it's because I have business with you. Just then, a boy from the corridor peeked his head in, curiosity written all over his face. Lin Yuan's brow furrowed, his tone edged with exasperation. Can't you keep a low profile on campus? Instead of backing down, Chris winked playfully at the boy and even blew him a kiss. The poor kid turned crimson on the spot, flustered and wide-eyed. Lin Yuan slid his glasses down slightly, voice cool and commanding. You saw nothing. In the next instant, the boy's expression went blank. Then he turned away as if nothing had ever happened. Chris huffed, pouting in mock indignation. What, jealous I'm more popular than you? Lin Yuan didn't even bother arguing. Shut up. With a sharp turn, he added curtly, follow me. Inside Lin Yuan's lab, Chris wrinkled her nose, her tone sharp with distaste. There's a stench around this school. Smells like a filthy bird. Lin Yuan chuckled faintly, his gaze unreadable. No surprise. A silver-banded krite like you. Your senses are razor sharp. Chris lifted her chin proudly. Of course. My purpose is simple. Kill every threat to us. Want me to take care of him? Just a touch of poison is all it takes. Without hesitation, Lin Yuan tossed her a capsule. His voice was calm, almost dismissive. Leave him to me. You just focus on your part. She twirled the capsule between her fingers, smirking. So all I have to do is swallow this and the Xinyu clan won't notice me? Lin Yuan adjusted his glasses, his words precise and cold. It buys you 12 hours. No more. Handle it quickly. Chris's smile faded. Her eyes narrowed, probing. There's something I've wanted to ask. Why don't you carry the scent of the serpents? And how can your blood cloak us from detection? Lin Yuan paused, then said quietly, because her blood once flowed through me. Without her, I'd be long dead. Chris's expression hardened, her voice dropping low. Who is she? Lin Yuan's lips curved into a cryptic smile. Neither serpent nor bird. A serpent born without malice. How could that brat from the Shinyu clan ever uncover her truth? The scene shifted. On her way back, Bai Motao was suddenly stopped by Zhou Ruming, who chirped excitedly, "You and Yin Songdong have to join me in a modeling competition. And you'd better dress up properly." She waved a flyer in front of Bai Motao's face. The campus help squad. It clearly stated, "Complete classmates' requests to earn points." Bai Motao stared at the paper, unwilling as she was. She had to admit, it was real. With a sigh, she muttered, "Even so, me in a modeling agency? That's impossible." From Zhou Ruming's perspective, the thought was cruel but clear. Of course she can't. The one I really want is Yin Songdong. Meanwhile, hidden nearby, Yin Songdong's eyes narrowed slightly. He had noticed something. Zhou Ruming smiled smugly. "As long as both of you join, I'll make sure you get top marks." "How about it?" In the lab, Lin Yuan adjusted his glasses and asked casually, "You're heading to New Talent Agency?" Chris nodded. "Yeah. They're hosting a modeling competition, but several contestants have gone missing under mysterious circumstances. The police are clueless. There's only one clue. Every single one of them was wearing this." Cut to Zhou Ruming. She just so happened to be wearing the very same necklace, chattering away about the model's disappearances. Bai Motao's eyes widened. "So that's it? You want us to be your bodyguards?" Zhou Ruming's cheeks flushed pink, little hearts practically sparkling in her eyes. "Exactly. I mean, doesn't young Master Yin just radiate a sense of security?" Bai Motao burst out laughing. "Security? Please." He couldn't even bring himself to dissect a pigeon earlier. The words shattered Zhou Ruming's girlish fantasy like glass. Yin Songdong, unable to take it anymore, stepped out with a cold glare. "I'll go with you." The moment he appeared, tension crackled between the two like gunpowder. But Zhou Ruming, giddy with joy, remained oblivious. After delivering her invitation, she skipped away happily. Bai Motao immediately turned on him. "Why did you agree to that?" Yin Songdong's expression hardened, his gaze fixed on the necklace at Zhou Ruming's throat. "Didn't you see it? That necklace's serpent scale, a marker. She's already been claimed as prey." In the lab, Lin Yuan let his fingers brush across the scale, his expression dark. "These scales, they were torn off while alive. The pain they must have endured is unimaginable." Chris sneered, her tone edged with bitterness. "And it's not just one. Anyone who sees this will immediately assume it's the serpent's doing. The missing models? Blame conveniently dumped on us." Meanwhile, Yin Songdong closed the distance between himself and Bai Motao, his gaze sharp as a blade. "Looks like we'll have our conclusion soon. Once I uncover the truth, you'll understand. Eliminating you will be nothing but justified." Bai Motao's voice trembled, but she stood her ground. "You can't condemn someone just because of a necklace. What if the serpents had nothing to do with this?" Yin Songdong's lips curved into a cold, confident smile. "Then it works the other way around. If I'm wrong, if I've accused you unjustly, then I'll put myself at your mercy." Back in the lab, Chris sighed, though her eyes gleamed with venom. "How pathetic. We're already the weaker side, and now we're forced to carry the blame for others. This really pisses me off." Bai Motao had been nothing more than an ordinary college student, until she suddenly became the target of a man determined to hunt her down, declaring it righteous to end her life. All because, in his eyes, she belonged to the so-called serpents, a race accused of every sin imaginable. Yet deep down she still believed she was just human. In the haze of dread, that haunting voice echoed once more, "Almost, you're almost ready to remember." Chris jolted awake, gasping for breath. Relief washed over her for a second, until she realized, horrified, that her hair had grown long again overnight. Her phone buzzed relentlessly on the nightstand. She groaned, rubbing her temples. "Right, it's Sunday." One glance at the screen sent a chill down her spine. A flood of missed calls, all from Yin Songdong, along with urgent messages. Then it hit her. Today was the modeling agency appointment. She scrambled into her clothes, panic rising. If I anger him, with his temper, would he kill me right here and now? But then another fear struck, her hair. What do I do? No time. She bit her lip, forcing herself to head downstairs anyway. The moment she came downstairs, Bai Motao snapped. "Can you stop already? Your countdown the whole way down made my heart race." They both froze when they saw each other's outfits, equally unimpressed. Im Sangdong sparkled so brightly he could blind someone. Dressed like that? What, are you applying to be the janitor at the modeling agency? Bai Motao flushed, suddenly feeling the gap between them. She turned on her heel, ready to run back upstairs for her best clothes. Im Sangdong grabbed her arm, pulling her back, nearly yanking off her hat. What best clothes could you possibly have? Bai Motao quickly shoved her hat back down, panicked. If the neighbors see me, I'm finished. You trying to get me killed? Im Sangdong answered with absolute honesty, yes. A few minutes later in the car, his tone shifted. So, your hair only grows after you dream? Any other changes? Bai Motao rolled her eyes. No. There's still time, right? Just let me cut it short again. But Im Sangdong only shook his head, a knowing smirk playing at his lips. No need to rush. I'll take you somewhere first. The moment they arrived, Bai Motao froze. It was a luxurious beauty salon. Im Sangdong dragged her forward and told the owner flatly, make her look like a woman. The owner circled her, muttering to herself. Long hair, endless styles possible. Though not well maintained, lots of split ends. Proportions are decent, but small chest. Short, yes, but the foundation's workable. In less than 5 seconds, Bai Motao had been hit with 3 critical blows. The owner chuckled. Young Master In, where did you find such a cute little beauty? Im Sangdong shot her a glance, unimpressed. Beauty? With her? You need your eyes checked. He turned away, ordering, hurry it up. Call me when you're done. Bai Motao panicked. Wait, I can't afford this. Im Sangdong waved her off. I'll cover it for now. You can pay me back later. He spread his hands, adding with a smirk, not that I expect much. Doubt you can be transformed into anything worthwhile. Bai Motao's face burned with anger. The salon owner only smiled knowingly, slipping her hand into Bai Motao's. Come on, let Big Sis work her magic. A proper makeover might just help you capture his heart. Moments later, a stunning beauty stepped out. Im Sangdong was floored. Excuse me, gorgeous, who are you? In the group chat, the last message calling her plain was instantly deleted, leaving the rest of the group spamming question marks in total confusion. Soon after, they arrived at the modeling agency. Im Sangdong walked around to the passenger side and opened the door. Out stepped the same breathtaking beauty. Zhou Ruming froze. Wait, is she a new model? Bai Motao glanced at her reflection and whispered, almost in disbelief. Honestly, even I barely recognize myself. Zhou Ruming nearly choked on air. What the Bai Motao? Im Sangdong still hadn't fully recovered from the shock. As the two quietly discussed the mission, Zhou Ruming's eyes burned with jealousy, though she forced a smile. The original task was simple, protect Zhou Ruming. But Im Sangdong wanted more. He intended to uncover the mastermind using Bai Motao as bait. Playing her part perfectly, Zhou Ruming pretended to be supportive, even pressing a bottle of setting spray into Bai Motao's hands. Naive as ever, Bai Motao accepted it without hesitation. And so, Bai Motao forced herself toward the registration desk. Yet in her heart, the question gnawed at her. Could this necklace really be tied to the serpents? The moment the doors swung open, she froze. Inside, contestants were already dancing to upbeat music. Wait, what? Nobody told me we had to perform a talent. I can't do any of this. Next. Get ready, someone called. Her pulse spiked. So soon? Panicking, she grabbed the setting spray and gave herself a generous mist. Fine, I'll just wing it. But the attendant's eyes went wide. Your face. What happened to your face? Bai Motao whipped around to the mirror and nearly fainted. Oh no, it's not setting spray. It's makeup remover. Covering her face, she bolted. Please stall for me, I need the restroom. In her rush, she collided headlong into someone. Gasps erupted all around. Oh my god, it's Chris. The internet's top beauty influencer. The woman steadied her, lips curving into a calm smile. Need a little help? Bai Motao's eyes welled. An angel? Heaven actually sent me an angel. Chris led Bai Motao into the dressing room, her tone light but deliberate. Becoming beautiful is easy. The real question is, what will you perform? Bai Motao looked stricken. I don't know anything. Chris lifted her chin, eyes sharp as a blade. Makeup isn't about making you pretty. It's about uncovering your true self. Your gift is already etched in your bloodline. Looks like I'll have to give you a little push. Out on stage, the host announced, "Next contestant, by Motao." As for her talent, oh, nothing written? Well then let's wait and see. In the crowd, So Rumming smirked. One spray of that remover, and everyone will see your ugly truth. The spotlight hit. Bai Motao appeared cloaked, wrapped tight. A beat later, she flung the cloak aside. Her body moved like liquid fire, every motion seductive, hypnotic, as though Medusa herself had stepped on stage. Im Songdong stood frozen. It wasn't just beauty that shook him, it was the dance. The divine rite of the feathered clan. A ritual lost for generations, one no hawk should know. She was supposed to be serpent-blooded, and yet she was breathtaking. His brother's warning rang in his mind. Remember Im Songdong, serpent women are dangerously beautiful. Don't become their prey. He jolted back to his senses, heart pounding. He had almost fallen under her spell. Just then, a voice slid into Im Songdong's ear, laced with cruelty. How amusing. Someone still knows the hawk's sacred dance. This prey, I'll be taking it. He turned toward the source and froze. Perched in the VIP box was none other than Gong Shangjiao, the notorious wastrel of the Vulture family. And this modeling company was his den. Im Songdong's chest tightened. So it wasn't the serpents pulling strings after all. Damn it, Bai Motao's in trouble. Meanwhile, Bai Motao was still haunted by the words whispered into her ear as the final brushstroke touched her face. Bai Motao, remember everything. It was the exact same voice from her dreams. Her heart raced. I have to find him, I need answers. On stage, the host hurried to stop her. Miss, don't leave yet. Congratulations, you've advanced to the next round. She glanced down at the serpent scale in her hand. So light, yet suddenly it pulsed with unbearable agony, flooding her mind. What kind of torment did its owner suffer? The host's voice came again, smoother this time. Miss Bai, our boss would like to meet you to discuss future cooperation. But beneath the polite words was a warning sharp as a blade. This was no invitation but a summons. In the hallway, Bai Motao caught fragments of conversation between a few men, their tone casual, almost mocking. This batch is top quality. Already delivered. Which big shot gets the tribute this time? Each word cut into her like a blade. The grief, the despair. She realized with horror. These models weren't contestants at all. They were offerings. Playthings for the powerful. Rage surged through her chest. For the first time, Bai Motao felt the burning urge to use her power to hurt someone. But before she could act, a firm hand stopped her. Im Songdong's voice was calm, almost cold. Leave the beating to me. She clutched at his sleeve, trembling with fury. I was right, wasn't I? This company, it's rotten. They're treating models like sacrifices, trading them to the rich. Im Songdong tossed his jacket at her. Wipe off the makeup first. Right now you're a walking spotlight. But Bai Motao's anger only flared higher. Forget that. If we seize the boss now, we can expose everything. Im Songdong's expression hardened. His voice dropped low. It's not that simple. This runs deeper than you think. Just then the boss, Gong Shangjiao, stepped out with a mocking grin. Well, if it isn't Im Songdong. Word is you've been tangled up with that snake woman. What brings you to my turf? Bai Motao froze. The aura around Gong Shangjiao's men felt the same as Yin's. Suddenly, the pieces clicked. His quick acceptance of Zhou Ruming's request, guiding her into this contest. It had all been a setup. A trap to lure her here. Heart pounding, she spun on her heels and bolted. Im Songdong's voice chased after her. Bai Motao. Gong Shangjiao's eyes gleamed. So the model we picked happens to be your prey? In that case, name your price. Plenty of patrons are waiting. Yin's fist shot out, slamming into him. Our mission is to destroy the snake clan, not to sell them like cattle. Gong only laughed. Snake women are too beautiful to waste. Seal their venom glands and they're harmless. Such beauty, it's priceless in the upper circles. Rage boiled over. Im drove his knee upward, snarling, snakes can be killed but never defiled. The Xinyu clan will not tolerate this filth. I'll bring it straight to the elders. Prepare to die. Gong's smirk faltered. He glanced at his men. If the elders find out, we're finished. What do we do? One whispered back, Strike first. Turn on the surveillance. Make it look like an official hunt. Fiend helps the girl, he's a traitor. And who would believe a traitor? Gong's face hardened into cruelty. Brilliant. Activate the nets. Anyone who resists, kill them. Bai Motao was running for her life. Back in the lab, Lin Yuan received a video, her dancing on stage. Beneath it, a chilling line. The bait is set. The bird will bite soon. Inside the Neo Talent building, Bai realized with horror. Almost everyone here was Xinyu. Then they saw her. Predatory gazes locked onto her like knives. For the first time she struck back, her eyes burning. I don't want to hurt anyone, but I refuse to be prey. She bolted through the corridors, until a strong hand yanked her aside. Yin Songdong's voice cut sharply. With me. Keep running like that and you'll lose yourself. Bai struggled, panic rising. Let me go. You want to catch me too, don't you? You're all the same. Yin slammed his palm into the wall beside her, fury flashing in his eyes. Don't lump me with those bastards. If I hunt a snake, I'll do it in the open, not with filthy tricks. And I won't let you die in his hands. His words were sliced short. A feathered arrow shot through the air and pierced Bai Motao's body. Yin's pupils shrank. His voice was ice. A Xinyu paralytic arrow. They'll cripple the prey, toy with it, until it dies. Gong Shangjue strode forward, a smirk curling at his lips. Yin Songdong. Thanks for leading her right to me. Bai Motao's heart plummeted. She had almost begun to trust him. Almost. But now, in this nest of enemies, she realized the truth. She could rely on no one but herself. Gong's eyes narrowed on her. Huh. Even after being struck by a paralytic arrow, she can still move? No matter. Chase her, she won't last long. Fury erupted in Yin Songdong's chest. His voice thundered, You filthy scum, don't you dare touch my prey. Gong let out a low venomous laugh. As expected of a traitor's son. Raising your hand against your own kind, exactly the moment I've been waiting for. Yin roared, summoning a cyclone that tore through the hall. The gale lashed out like blades, pinning Gong's men where they stood. The air itself howled as if the world were about to shatter. Elsewhere, Bai Motao fled desperately, only to realize in shock that the wound from the arrow was closing, knitting itself back together before her very eyes. The pursuers noticed as well. Just as she readied herself to strike, a flash of steel whipped through the air. Chains snapped tight around her, binding her limbs with ruthless force. No matter how she struggled, the cold iron constricted like a living thing. A brutal blow landed and darkness swallowed her whole. As her consciousness faded, one final thought echoed. I don't want to be captured. Someone save me. Drip. A drop of venom hit the ground. The hunters froze, dread creeping in. Who's there? From the far end of the corridor, a figure stepped into view. It was Lin Yuan. In his palm shimmered a single serpent scale, gleaming with lethal light. In the next instant, the scale shot forward, an arc of death. Every enemy in the hall collapsed before they could scream. Silence reigned, broken only by the echo of Lin Yuan's footsteps. The stench of blood carried on the wind, reaching Yin Songdong. His chest tightened. Something had gone terribly wrong. He abandoned everything and rushed toward the source. Meanwhile, Gong Shangjiao, barely clinging to life, crawled toward his phone, hissing through bloodied lips. Traitor! I'll expose you. You're the one who should be erased. His trembling finger tapped the screen. The message was sent. When Yin Songdong arrived, the scene before him froze his breath. Bodies of the Xinyu clan littered the floor, each slain with merciless precision. One strike. No hesitation. No compassion. Ahead, a figure turned, cradling the unconscious Bai Motao in his arms. Yin Songdong roared, Stop! Who the hell are you? He lunged, unleashing his full strength, only to realize in horror that the attack didn't even ruffle the man's sleeve. And then he saw it, etched faintly on the man's body, the emblem of the Xinyu clan. Yin Songdong's heart thundered. But she's supposed to be serpent-blooded. Why does she bear the mark of the eagles? Why? Bai Motao's body lay still, but her consciousness drifted into a dream. The place around her felt achingly familiar, the air heavy with a scent she couldn't quite name. Then a tiny version of herself appeared, arms wrapped around a bouquet of radiant flowers, running happily toward a waiting figure. And in that moment she finally saw the man's face. Why didn't I realize it before? At Lei Feng Pagoda in the school hallway, every time danger struck he was there. Her heart raced as she whispered in disbelief. The man in her dreams was Professor Lin. She reached out desperately. Wait, I still have so many questions to ask you. But before she could reach him, the dream shattered, plunging her into another nightmare. This time she was bound tight, thrashing as her mouth formed silent cries for help. Lin Yuan stood at a distance, expression as cold as stone. If you can't free yourself, how could you ever be our king? Bai Motao's chest burned with rage. I told you I never wanted to be king. His gaze sharpened, merciless. Then I have no reason to save you. Panic surged. Pull me up. Please, I can't hold on. Instead he cut the rope, watching her sink with pitiless calm. No one will save you forever. In danger you can rely only on yourself. Desperation ignited something deep within her. Power surged. Her hair lashed out, slicing through the ropes as she clawed her way upward. Bursting through the water, tears stung her eyes as she screamed, "Why are you training me alone? Why can't I be like everyone else? I hate you."